Hello everyone, welcome to Cultural Examination. This is the second panel of a series of 4 panels and 2 performances. Today we're going to be talking about sound, production, artists, and collectives. Basically sound, everything that is sonic, everything that you can imagine, because they do a lot as artists and as creatives. I'm just going to introduce the moderator and of course thank our partnership with the British Council and the Momentum Program for supporting us through this. Starting off, we have Fadi Tabal, who is our moderator for the evenings, a Lebanese musician, producer, and sound engineer. He relocated to Beirut in 2016 following studies in sound engineering in Montreal, Canada, and promptly founded a Tune Fork Studios, which offered custom. For those that know, I made a mistake and called it Tune Folk. Okay, and I've known these people for a very long time. So, Tune Fork Studios, which offers customized services including full band recordings, live sound, music productions, and composition. The studio has grown into a collective of musicians and engineers and it functions still today. So please put your hands together for the sound panel and Fadi Tabal.
Hello everybody. Okay, so today we're gonna discuss the different practices of each of those collectives and artists, and I will try to just guide the discussion to have a better understanding of the way each of them is thinking about sound, and also the ethics of sound and the practices regarding like any kind of collaboration. So I'm gonna give everybody like 2 minutes, 3 minutes to introduce themselves. We can start with you, Renata.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Renata. I'm an artist, a curator, venue manager, one of the many at Frequent Defect. Frequent Defect is a collective of artists from different backgrounds and disciplines that has grown since 2016 as a multifaceted platform. We have a space not far from here in Kallis where it's a hub for the collective, but also has grown into a multifunctional space. This is basically it's also a hub for the residency artists and other artists that we collaborate with. Basically, our projects are showcased in the main space at the venue. We have different levels and so different kinds of events, nature of events, would it be like from dance to exhibitions, concerts, plays, sometimes book launches and so on.
Hi, Sandy Shamaoun. I'm a singer, performer, sound artist, رقاصة. I studied theater and cinema, and I started to work in music field since 2012 at Metro Medina. And recently, I released my very first album, solo album, Fata 17. And now I'm working with a lot of musicians in Lebanon, and that's it.
Hi, I'm Nour Sokhon. I'm an interdisciplinary artist. The main focus of my practice is sound. I work a lot with research material, mainly interview material, and I do site-specific interventions, and then I translate this material into sound performances, installations, and moving image work. And today I'm here representing Heya, which was a collective that started in 2018 by Gillian Sellner. She's doing a PhD in Goldsmith about the research, and we're basically a part of her research, which is a sound collective that aims to bridge women in Cairo and Istanbul, Beirut, and Hastings, UK. The members of the collective are Gillian Sellner, myself, Yara Makawi, which is now based in Berlin like myself, and Aisha Zanib. And and we all recently met and performed live in the same physical space just 2 weeks ago after all these years. Yeah, that's it.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Donc, moi, je vais parler en français pour être plus à l'aise, pour faire passer un message plus clair, on va dire. Je m'appelle Reda Mahani, et du coup, je viens d'Algérie. Je suis le fondateur du collectif et de la plateforme El Mutanaqil. On travaille principalement, c'est une plateforme culturelle et musicale. On travaille sur 3 volets principaux. Premier volet, c'est les résidences artistiques. Donc, on travaille sur créer des liens entre tout ce qui est traditionnel musique et électronique musique. Et le deuxième volet, c'est des projets au fait, qui répondent à des besoins ou des pratiques anciennes. C'est-à-dire, quand je dis besoins, c'est des besoins que ce soit dans la communauté ou de la scène. Et le troisième volet, c'est l'événementiel, on va dire. C'est un côté très important en Algérie pour, on va dire, participer au développement de la scène de musique électronique en Algérie. Voilà.
Everybody understood this? Okay, so just to make sure that everybody speaks French. So let's start with like more general questions first. Since you were a bit more specific, Nour, let's start with you. If you can just draw a certain picture of what is the work in sound that the collective is doing, actually, in terms of itself, what is it about, and who are the collaborators other than you four?
Okay, so it's mainly about listening and listening across borders and somehow fighting this idea of borders, because, you know, as we all know, it's so difficult that, I mean, the number of musicians I know from Beirut that tried to go perform somewhere in Europe and couldn't go because of papers, it's almost ridiculous. So the whole point of this is to also spread more information about particularly sound artists from the Middle East, female sound artists, because there's also not been enough research on that, and it's mostly from the Western gaze. So yeah, it's mostly about that. And we've done this over the years by jamming on the internet, by collecting field recordings, by composing, and also really listening in the sense that it's a very different experience to be playing online and not having met the people you've been working with for years, without funding as well, just because you want to, you know, and hope for some of this material to be collected and for that to change specifically in our region.
And do you keep those in those archives of somewhere that everybody can check, or they're like a bit loose all over the internet?
Well, she's almost done with her PhD paper, and then once it's published, that would be the start.
Okay.
And at the moment, we're working on having a better online profile, which is another thing, because first it started off as a research project, and now it's turning into an ensemble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Renata, let's go back to your collective and just tell us a bit how it functions, how many people are in it, and what are how do you do your curation usually, locally and internationally? Meaning, I'm talking more on the sound aspect of it. And what are you looking for sonically, or is it only sonically, or there's also something else that you're looking for?
Okay. So we're a collective of like, I would say like 6, 7 like sound artists, if we're talking sound, and basically we have different nature of events that we create music for. Like some of them are theme based, some of them are more like for example workshops or different. So we also like, and yeah, so basically the curation for these events would be like internal, you know, like, so it depends. Like for example, if you want to get an international artist, it would be based on also like having an exchange between, you know, like the locals and the international. So basically if we want to show like an expertise and technicality, let's say, or also like the approach to his art, you know, like would it be like if it has like a strong statement or message or something that could be also like a mix between visual and sound, or like even performance. You know, it depends. Each artist, what is his approach, doesn't matter. But more like, yes, like those that align with the kind of vision of like the project itself. And we have many, like, not to get into details of all of the different projects, but like, yeah. And then like, this is like more like the music events, but then when we have like the workshops, for example, we work a lot with like the Beirut Center, for example, where like more like to merge even musicians and non-musicians into like a platform where, like, you know, give a space to for people like locals to come and share how they're working on whatever they're working on. And then there's like a small part of a workshop, so that's also something that we do. Then there's also the collaborations with like other entities that would be like not specifically sound, but also, for example, like it could be like performance, or like, you know, we've hosted plays, for example. So also like talking about the direction of that, or like we've done a book launch, let's say, where we've merged like the book, like basically to celebrate the book launch, but also like did an installation in parallel with like also music, and like, you know, like a mix basically. So like the venue is like, it's not a specific type of, you know, like either like, you know, yes, so.
Question, so is it possible for like an artist to approach you to use the space, even if they're not in the
Collective?
in the collective?
Yes, sure, but like it depends on also like right now, because there's many projects, for example, happening at the venue. So basically, we would like to know also, you know, like what is the relationship between the artist and the space, because the space is given for free, you know, for like the people that we work with. So basically, we can, yeah. So it depends, like what is the relationship or the collaboration with the person. So we would like to have it like a kind of like, you know, to make sense of use of the space, yeah.
So there's like a.
But there is, you know, it's open.
Yeah, it's
you know,
open,
but like it depends.
okay.
What are we working on together to use the space? Because
so it's mostly like kind of a collaboration all the time.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Rida. Donc, tu disais que le genre de musique que vous travaillez, c'est électronique et traditionnel.
Yeah.
Tu peux un peu expliquer?
Bien sûr. Bien sûr. Au fait, à travers le premier volet de notre travail, qui est les résidences artistiques, donc le premier but, c'est la sauvegarde du patrimoine. C'est-à-dire que principalement, déjà, nous, on vient d'un milieu de musique électronique, c'est-à-dire c'est ce qu'on aime dans la vie. Et, on va dire, c'est pas juste des fêtards, mais on a toujours travaillé dans le domaine culturel. Et du coup, l'idée, c'est de faire cette rencontre et de promouvoir aussi la musique traditionnelle. C'est plutôt la musique ancestrale. C'est des musiques qui datent de 1000 ans et plus. Et c'est quelque chose de très précieux. Et du coup, on a réfléchi comment on peut intégrer c'est-à-dire quelque chose qu'on aime réellement, quelque chose qu'on veut réellement aussi garder. Et du coup, on a créé cette idée-là, on va dire, de rencontre. Mais c'est pas juste une rencontre, c'est une super occasion pour nous pour faire beaucoup de captations. C'est, par exemple, on va dire, 1000 téras de captation de matière son et de vidéo. Et on travaille avec des producers un petit peu, on va dire, c'est pas des têtes d'affiche, mais c'est des producers très connus. Par exemple, le dernier, en 2021, on a travaillé avec Reboot, qui est de Francfort. C'est un gars qui a grandi à Omen, un club très très connu à Francfort. Et du coup, cette idée-là d'avoir toujours un local producer avec un international, c'est de donner cette image internationale ou de promouvoir aussi, c'est pas juste sur le niveau local, mais aussi c'est de donner aussi on va dire, un effet plus large à notre travail. Du coup, à travers cette résidence, cette captation, on sort toujours avec des performances où on intègre la musique traditionnelle dans les performances de musique électronique. Les résidences en général, ça dure, on va dire, entre 5 et une semaine. C'est pas facile pour un producteur de réaliser, on va dire, une réelle production en 5 jours, en 7 jours. Et du coup, on demande juste d'intégrer ça pour la sauvegarde parce que tout est enregistré. Et aussi, à travers ça, on a créé notre chaîne YouTube. Donc, ça s'appelle El Mutanaqil, comme le nom aussi. Et on réalise pour chaque résidence artistique un documentaire. Donc ce documentaire-là, il regroupe tous nos travaux, c'est-à-dire que quand on va sur le link ou un des épisodes, c'est des documentaires avec plusieurs épisodes. Et du coup, on retrouve toute cette énergie, tout cet esprit, toute cette musique ancestrale et comment aussi comment on arrive réellement à inspirer les producteurs de musique électronique, réellement comment on arrive à les influencer pour s'inspirer de cette musique.
Ces terrains de son, vous pensez les mettre en public ou...
Bien sûr,
ouais.
Bien sûr.
Il y a un projet qui
tout à fait.
Utiliser
free, open source et
open
tout.
Source, ouais.
Voilà, c'est un de nos travaux, c'est-à-dire que cette base de données qu'on est en train de monter. Actuellement, on a réalisé 5 résidences artistiques qui concernent 5 musiques ancestrales différentes qui datent entre 600 et 1000 ans. Et du coup, toute cette base de données, à travers notre site internet, parce qu'on est en plein développement, en pleine structuration et tout, et du coup, ça va être une super occasion pour partager ça. L'idée, c'est de partager ça avec les producteurs pour pouvoir s'inspirer.
Et vous pensez éventuellement avoir la chance de le faire dans d'autres pays?
Tout à fait. Au fait, par légitimité du nom, le nom c'est El Mutanaqil, donc vu que juste on a créé... on existe en Algérie, donc comme une première étape. Mais par exemple, actuellement, on travaille sur l'idée d'aller au Mali pour travailler sur les musiques ancestrales du Mali. Il y a tellement de choses en Afrique qu'on voudrait réellement découvrir et faire découvrir aussi au grand public. Mais aussi, récemment, par exemple, avant de venir ici, j'étais à Bali, en Indonésie. C'était pour un projet d'échange culturel. Et du coup, pareil, c'est-à-dire à chaque fois, vu que le nom c'est le Mutanaqil, à chaque fois pour vraiment découvrir ça et faire partager ça à travers notre chaîne YouTube avec le grand public.
Sandy, you were at first like a performer of like traditional or like classic Arabic repertoire, and it's been like a few years where you started composing your own music. And did you have any kind of link between those two? Did you link them in any way from the new form of music and the old form of music?
ما علي احكي بالعربي، عاملها انترناشونال بانل. ايه اكيد بلاقي انه هو هاي انا ما كنت اشتغل موسيقى ابدا، وبعدين تعلمت انه مش تعلمت بعدين مع الخبره بمترو مع عده فرق وغنينا اشياء تراديشنال عربي، طرب عربي. اكيد كل هول الخبريات جمعوا لي يعني خبره بالموسيقى. بس كمان كان كل الوقت عندي الافكار اللي هي انه برات فكره الكفرز وبرات فكره حتى انه ضلني ضمن مجموعه. وصراحه يعني الاول موتيفيشن كان لإلي كان هو من بعد الثوره، لان انزربت بالبيت لحالي واضطريت انه اقعد مع كل الماتيريال اللي كنت مجمعتها من قبل واللي كنت عم بتعلمها من قبل. فلما اضطريت انه واجه هيدا الشيء حسيت انه اوكي شو رح يصير، اصلا العالم حيوقف، يلا اعمل اول تراك. فبلشت اعمل هيدا الشيء. وصراحة هو إدمان إنه أنت تجي، هو ادمان انه انت لما تعمل اول تجربه انك انت عم تواجه العالم باصواتك، حيكون عندك اول مره جرأة انك انت من ازاد يعني حاطط هيدا التراك انا عملته انا كذا انا كذا، رح يصير هيدا ادمان، وحيصير دائما انه انت عندك هاي الرغبه انه كل الوقت تكون عم بتواجه باشياء جديده. فاكيد كان انه لإلي انه الاشياء النيجاتيف من القديم هو انه خلص ما بقى بدي نفس الشيء. بس الاشياء البوزيتيف انه كل الخبره اللي جمعتها كمان، لانه كنا نعرض يعني بمترو مرتين بالاسبوع، هيدا وقت يعني هيدا شيء كبير يعني.
Okay. طيب إذا بدنا نحكي if we want to talk about research, sonic research, who would like to talk about on a personal level about their sonic adventures, a bit about what's interesting about the sound they like and why they chose the field they're in. Who would like to? You all going to eventually.
Hi. Yeah, okay, wait. This is how many? You said 3 questions.
Just answer. Just give us in general.
Okay, yeah. Why sound? Yeah. It's mostly about memory, finding a way to preserve and archive memory. And I find that a lot I find a way to collect that is by talking to people, by interviewing people, and by collecting يعني field recordings قبل الثورة بوقت الثورة بعد الثورة، إنه بكل هول different moments that are simple historic moments, but also the simple moments before things started happening. We didn't have a lot of them, but إنه even the moments where there isn't a lot happening are also quite historical. Especially because there's a big lack of we don't really have a proper sound archive, and that's something I dream of one day doing with a lot of people, hopefully all of us. And so yeah, it's more about finding a way to use it as a form of storytelling and to have a reference for future generations when it comes to our history. Also because we live in a very visual world, so it's nice to find a way to counter that with sound. Like we don't necessarily need to have visuals to entertain listeners when it's something that's not something that you're experiencing that's typical music. And in terms of also working with objects, it's about exhausting an object and the potential of an object. If it's a living object that can decay, مثلا, or if it's something like a bell, which refers to time and religion and order that we understand in the world. Yeah.
أنا في أزيد عليها كمان إنه كان إنه الألبوم بالأول كنت عم فكر إنه مثل أركايفينج لفترة قطع فيها هيدا البلد، واللي هو مش ضروري دايركتلي إنه أنت عم تقول إنه شو المطالب مش عم بحكي أنا سياسة مباشرة، بس أنا بالنسبة لإلي كتير مهم إنه كان إنه دايماً إذا بدنا نفكر سياسة بهذا الشيء، إنه دايماً الأنظمة بتفتش على كيف إنه تمحي فترات ما بتعجبها، يعني بتمحي فترات ما عجبها كيف الشعوب عم تتصرف. والشغل هو إنه أنت تضلك عم تقدر تحافظ على هيدا الذاكرة، واللي هو إنه اللي أنا هيك فسرته بدماغي. يعني بالألبوم تبعي إنه بالإي بي يعني كنت عم فكر إنه أوكي يمكن هيدا التراك ما رح إذا سمعوا واحد مثلا شو بعرفنا من طرابلس كان ينزل على مظاهر وشو بها هاي يعني شو خص يعني، بس إنه لإلي أنا كان إنه هو شيء جزء من إنه أنا عم أرشف شو أنا عشت وعم أقول لك إنه مش ضروري بالحكي السياسي، وبرأيي إنه كتير فنانين كمان اشتغلوا على هيدا الشيء اللي هو إنه مش مباشرة، واللي هو هيدا ألذ، إنه أنت حتلاحظ إنه من قبل 2019 الموسيقى كتير غير عن بعد 2019 و2020 و2000 هيدا. فإنه إيه أنا هيك بحس كمان إنه.
From my personal perspective on music and what I'm trying to achieve, at least, is I still very much like to experiment with beat-based explorations. So I have an affinity for like trying to experiment with how I can like deconstruct beats basically. So I like this, like it's more of a technical approach, I would say. And yes, just try all the different kinds of things that I can do with my machines. That's personal.
Yeah. Au fait, pour tout ce qui concerne l'archivage pour notre plateforme, au début, ça répondait à un besoin avant tout. C'est que avant chaque projet, on fait une période de recherche qui dure entre 6 mois jusqu'à 1 an de recherche par rapport à cette musique, pour ne pas, on va dire, partager des informations fausses avec le grand public. Et ça concerne aussi un déplacement sur place pour les gens concernés, c'est-à-dire les musiciens, pour confirmer toutes ces informations. Donc c'est quelque chose qui dure dans le temps. Mais aussi, à travers cette période de recherche, on a trouvé qu'il y a un impact énorme, ce qu'on appelle l'impact après le post-colonialisme. C'est-à-dire qu'on trouvait beaucoup de difficultés à trouver de l'archive en Algérie. Et du coup, ça nous a tellement motivés. Au début, c'était répondre à un besoin, mais à force, ça s'est développé à quelque chose de très nécessaire. Et actuellement même, on a changé carrément la méthode de travail, comment procéder à tout cette matière, comment on arrive à l'archiver. Mais réellement, on s'est posé la question, comment on peut réellement aider les futures générations à ne pas tomber dans le même problème. C'est-à-dire que on voudrait réellement essayer de faire gagner du temps aux futures générations, les futurs producers, Algerian producers. C'est-à-dire que quand ils vont faire des recherches, ils vont tout trouver. On va essayer, c'est-à-dire c'est notre objectif actuellement, c'est de réellement faire gagner du temps aux futurs gens qui veulent travailler sur tout ce qui est recherche, sur la musique traditionnelle, où ils vont même trouver des inspirations à travers des producteurs de musique électronique déjà faites. C'est-à-dire que ça s'est développé d'un besoin à quelque chose de comment on va aider les autres, carrément à travers cette matière et cette archive.
La prochaine question, c'est pour toi et Renata. C'est parce que vous êtes les seuls qui travaillent dans un espace. Renata, you have a specific space. And the first question is, how is it, how hard is it to do everything you do? Because we know we're in a place where tolerance for extreme, it's not extreme, left field music is not very accepted. And also how do you think about what we call like a safe space? How can you make sure that between you and your team, you can safely say that there's nothing wrong here happening?
Okay. The questions are not very related though.
No, they're not.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Okay, so the first question was what about like left field music?
Do you have any problem with governmental censorship or never happened?
No, not really. I mean, I thought the question was more like towards how like the crowd was accepting.
But the crowd, there's always a crowd.
Yeah, no, but also because like at the beginning, like when we started doing, like regular events, there was a lot of times where a lot of the crowd would come to us and say like, what is this music and what's going on? And we're like, just sit through it because like there's many artists and the program is like pretty long, it's not gonna be like, basically like our nights are not like one specific music. It's not like you go and you're gonna expect like, just one You know, there's a palette of, you know, different kinds of artists coming to present something else. So basically, it was like with the times, like they started to also get to know different kinds of music as well, and they started to ask about the things that they like, and then they started to accept also like different kinds, and also like the stuff that they find some of them really like and others don't. Then they also get to see like also regularly these artists, you know, so they know who they like more than others, for example, yeah. And then like regarding like government or like official stuff, like no, we didn't have like really like some censorship. They, of course, they know of our existence, and they see like, because we do a lot of different kinds of events, so for them it's more like that we are bringing kind of a culture to the area, because the area where we're actually based is more like an industrial area, yeah. So basically, so yeah, so for them it's more like a cultural space, and which is, and yeah, so we don't have a problem with that. Now regarding the safe space,
I'm gonna ask
yes?
Reda to finish about this, then we talk about the safe
Then the
space.
second, okay.
So, vous faites des concerts dans des endroits, des endroits abandonnés ou des endroits supposés être des parties du patrimoine. Non. Donc, et ça se passe comment? Vous avez vous le faites incognito, ou vous le faites avec vous avez le droit de le faire et tout ça?
Alors, c'est plusieurs réponses. Parce que, au fait, notre plateforme, elle participe avant tout à trouver des solutions à travers la réflexion. Donc, par exemple, vu que il y a un manque d'espace énorme pour tout ce qui est événements en Algérie. Donc notre mission principale, quand on parle d'espace, c'est de créer cette forme d'espace. Par exemple, vu qu'on s'appelle Moutanaqil, par exemple, on visite beaucoup d'endroits et on essaie d'exploiter ces endroits-là pour d'autres promoteurs d'events. C'est-à-dire qu'on organise, mais nous, on ne revient jamais sur le même endroit. On essaie de trouver d'autres endroits et de laisser ça à d'autres personnes pour dire juste que c'est possible de faire des événements ici, allez-y. Donc ça, c'est la première question. Et la deuxième, c'est toujours dans l'idée de répondre à des besoins. Donc là, on crée aussi des espaces fixes. Par exemple, le 12 janvier de cette année, on a créé un nouvel espace, ça s'appelle Heya Club. Et c'est un espace qui répond à deux besoins. De un, c'est l'espace, toujours un endroit pour les artistes pour pouvoir jouer et exprimer, c'est-à-dire leur musique et tout. Et aussi un espace pour la communauté aussi. C'est très important. C'est-à-dire que s'il n'y a pas d'espace, automatiquement, il n'y a pas de communauté et ça marche ensemble. Voilà. Et aussi, c'est-à-dire que ce n'est pas le seul espace. C'est-à-dire que depuis la création de notre plateforme, à chaque fois, on crée un concept ou un espace et on travaille là-dessus. Après, on le laisse pour d'autres gens pour le gérer ou pour faire monter aussi, surtout pour les jeunes, pour faire monter une nouvelle génération qui savent réellement gérer. C'est-à-dire que notre plateforme, elle essaye toujours de répondre à des besoins à travers la réflexion. Il y a aussi un autre côté, par exemple, il y a une maison ou une bâtisse très, très ancienne à Alger. Elle a été bâtie en 1715, s'appelle Dar Abdeltif, c'est une maison à style mauresque et c'est accessible, c'est-à-dire aux visiteurs d'aller là-bas. Mais par contre, quand on rentre, par exemple, on trouve des bureaux du ministère de la Culture. Et par exemple, on a réfléchi réellement comment faire sortir ces bureaux-là parce que ça appartient au peuple, c'est un patrimoine. Et du coup, on est parti voir la direction pour dire, voilà, on aimerait bien faire entrer la techno pour la première fois dans ce lieu mythique où les Algérois, ils aiment beaucoup et tout. Et du coup, l'idée, c'était, au lieu d'aller à l'affrontement direct avec l'administration, l'idée, c'était d'augmenter l'engouement de visite pour cet espace-là, pour que les autres, ils se dérangent par rapport à notre présence. C'est-à-dire la réflexion, on a inversé carrément la réflexion. Et par expérience aussi, parce qu'on a vu les anciennes générations, ils étaient directement dans l'affrontement avec tout ce qui est avec l'État et ainsi de suite, et on a vu que ça n'a rien donné. Du coup, nous, on est parti sur une autre réflexion carrément, comment trouver d'autres solutions. Ça, c'est-à-dire comment on organise nos événements et pourquoi on organise des événements. Ensuite, il y a le côté festival qui est un tout petit peu dur. L'année passée, j'ai lancé avec un ami à moi notre premier festival, ça s'appelle Kakatoès Festival. Et c'est un premier festival. Je ne peux pas dire que c'est le festival de l'Motanaqil à 100%, parce que le nôtre, c'est un objectif, on va dire, à 18 mois à peu près, ce qui nous reste comme timing. Mais celui-là était vraiment une première étape pour dire aussi toujours que c'est possible. C'est vrai qu'en termes d'administration, c'est très délicat, on va dire. Mais quand on essaie d'être réglo et avoir une autre réflexion et ne pas aller dans l'affrontement, avec le temps, on découvre de plus en plus que c'est faisable. Mais ça reste difficile. Voilà, donc ce mot difficile, ça reste toujours un challenge. C'est-à-dire que, par exemple, je parle de ma génération en Algérie. Je peux même parler un tout petit peu de la scène parce que on se connaît tous et on travaille, on collabore tous ensemble, ce qui est génial réellement. On compte jamais sur l'État. C'est-à-dire on n'est pas dans cette position de dire l'État n'a rien fait pour nous, donc on va rien faire. Au contraire, c'est-à-dire qu'on va vers l'action.
C'est un peu tout le monde ici aussi. Renata, we can go back to the second part of the question, which is about not only, like, I'm talking about safe space because we had pandemics, we had a lot of moments where things are either clear or not clear, and how to deal with it, and whose responsibility is it, and all those questions. Yeah.
Okay, so when we talk about safe spaces, we can divide into two. Maybe it's safe space for artists and safe space for the crowd or like people who attend. And basically, it's it's like to feel confident to go to a place or an environment where you're free from harassment, criticism, discrimination, and all of that. And basically, yes. So you make the crowd and the attendees feel confident to go and not be exposed to all of that, and also the artists to feel free to present their work and completely, transparent and without feeling them. Yeah, so there's these two. The thing is that it's a constant effort from us as a collective to always keep, in check and like to stay attentive to the space and to make sure that this is granted. And I would say also it's a constant effort in a way that it's not just for us to be policing the space. It's also like, because it is really like, like a community that is like regulars that come and attend the events, they also know that, to keep in check with like what's going on around and like to be always communicating around, like also to respect the space as if it was their own, because it is at the end of the day a shared space in a way or another. So yes, I would say like to keep like the safe space is like a joint effort of like us, all of us that are running the space, and also like the people or the community that So I would say like it's yeah, and we always get like a lot of like it is a responsibility for everyone, I think.
Somebody wants to add something about this subject? I'm just saying, hypothetically speaking, if anything happened for like regarding anybody of the collective or anybody from the crowd at that moment when something happened, it's a question for everybody actually, because this is this is bound to happen because we're human and we're horrible. But
so what happened with you?
So later I'll tell you. So what really happens? How do we deal with it? Because since we said there's nothing from the state in all those countries, and there's no real, let's say, legal backdrop for us to rely on. So we're relying more on technically what you say, like helping each other.
Yes.
And let's say one of us did a mistake or something. What happens then? This is actually the question that happens all the time, and it's hard to get to it until we get to it. And once we get to it, we don't know how to deal with it because we just ignore it. This is what's happening because it's not an easy subject to talk about, and it's not a yes or no question also. So this is something that that's for everybody, and something to like. I'm just questioning it in general. If anybody has like any kind of opinion about that, it'll be interesting.
I think it's not a one-size-fits-all, you know, in that respect. No, it's more like you have to discuss and you know.
But how do you do that when the news travels faster, as we know that faster than anything? How do you discuss something when there's no place to discuss? Because a lot of time discussion is part of a no-no. So this is what I'm saying. Since we have those communities, let's say, what can we do?
Why is it a no-no? Why is it a no-no?
Well, I don't know. Some people don't want to discuss it. It should not. Yeah, of course it should not. But a lot of time, the subject of opening a kind of delicate conversation is a no-no. It always puts you in the side of like as if you're accepting what's happening, which is not the case at all. But when you discuss, when the conversation starts, I'm talking about conversation because all this practice of sound and collective and everything is about conversation. And okay, we do it with sound and we do it with music and we do it, and it's great, it's happening great. What happens when it's outside our jurisdiction and outside our field of comfort, but at the same time within our community? And I'm just talking about this. We don't need to go deep into it, but it's nice to be able to have something that can like put us together to be able to have those conversations. Like let's say something happened with one of the people that comes to the regulars, not the collective. Let's say the regulars, and you know who it is or whatever, and. What happens then? Really, look, he or she cannot come in anymore, or there'll be like you'll try to do some kind of mediation. What happens really?
I think it depends on the damage that's done.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
I mean, there are some people that you can say you can discuss and you know you can maybe. You know, just give like a warning in a way, or like something that like we've had a lot of complaints from that and this, and like, you know, like also hear the person out and see what is this other side of the story. But sometimes like when the damage is like big and we just got the news or something, people will not feel comfortable to see this person in the space. And this is where also you have to draw the boundaries and say, I'm sorry, but you know, and also these people know, actually the people who have done like actually big damage or something, like, you know, they take a step back because they also respect the space, you know.
Okay.
And we've had like both sides, and we've had like many different kinds of things that we have had to deal with. And in the end, they take a step back because they know that they won't even feel comfortable when things are exposed that they have done. And some people, like, yes, they've done things, like, for example, under like different circumstances that, you know, not necessarily in the space, you know, like it's not in the space that we're talking about. It's like someone has told us that this person has been, you know, like, or something has happened in their personal life. And it's, yes, this is hard because also it's not something that has happened like with us during a night or something that we can address straight away, you know, because like, we can also do that, you know. But like if it has happened somewhere else and the damage is done, like, I mean, sorry.
Well, yeah, but this is the part where there's also the personal because you know you want to protect whatever you built on.
أنا برأيي سوري ريناتا، بس أنا برأيي إنه نحن مش مسؤولين على إنه نحن مسؤولين إذا كنا بسهرة. كل العالم مسؤولة إذا كانت بسهرة وشافت شيء قدامها عم بيصير، مسؤولين إنه نتدخل بهذا الشيء. بس نحن مش مسؤولين على العقاب ومش مسؤولين على المحاسبة كأشخاص. وكمان بذات الوقت إذا قلنا عن متحرش، مش حيكون عم يجي على نفس المحل أو عم يظهر بيناتنا عادة من دون أي يعني طريقة ليتصلح هذا الشيء. ف وهيدا جروب يعني مجموعة اللي بدها تعمل هاي المحاسبة ما بتطلع من أصحاب المحلات أو من الفنانين، بتطلع من جمعيات موثوقة. هي بتحكي عن التحرش، هي بتشتغل على مواضيع تحرش، مواضيع كل هول المواضيع يعني اللي منخاف منهم بالمحلات، شو مش معقول يصير. فإنه يعني وبتنحط طريقة لمحاسبة هذا الإنسان اللي غلط بهذا المحل، وبتنحط طريقة واضحة بينعرف اوكي هذا الانسان حيتحاسب هيك هيك هيك، عنده 3 اشهر مثلا ما في يقرب على هذا المحل، ما في يقرب على هذا الشخص اللي اذاه لمده سنه، اذا كان هذا الشخص موجود بفل من المحل تنقول يعني. بنحط طريقه محاسبه كيف يتحاسبوا هول الاشخاص، ويصير هيدي المجموعه اللي هي كمان مرة تانية ما إلها علاقة لا بالفنانين ولا بالأفراد، إنه أنا إذا بشوف حدا مش رح روح أضربه بالشارع، مش رح تكون شغلتي أعمل هيك. فهو بالآخر إنه لازم يكون في مجموعة نوثق فيها، نقدر نحن عن جد إذا صار معنا شيء أو إذا صار بسبيس صار فيه شيء غلط يروح يحكي مع هاي المجموعة، لأنه ما في دولة وما في إنه وما في يعني ما فينا نروح لا على القانون ولا على الدولة ولا على الهيدا، فنحن بدنا هاي المجموعة. عرفت؟ أنا هيك بحس إنه هذا الحل يعني.
هو كان عم بيسأل لأنه إذا ما في هذا الشيء،
إذا ما في دولة
ما في شيء
هيك نحن لازم المفروض إنه
أنا هون.
No, I completely agree with what you're saying, and it would be really nice if an expert can come, a psychiatrist or people that specifically deal with harassment, if that's the issue, rather than the people from the space, to avoid biases come in, to have people that know what they're talking about, and it's more of a neutral zone, and specifically to try to gather the people in person rather than use social media and escalate things on social media, because it doesn't get to a faster solution.
But it goes back to like a closed loop where this entity we should like address the existence of an entity like that. So it's partly also our responsibility to do that, since there's no like everything, there's no, when you say the state doesn't help, so we do the things our own, etc., etc. And I think it's part of maybe what we should also think, because with growing into those in those institutions of art and everything, it's bound something to happen. So maybe we need to think about not from the arts scene, but art scene asking for an entity like that to exist. I'm just like talking about that. Anyways, I think we're way overdue. Can we can ask questions if somebody has any question from the crowd. We have 10 minutes for questions. Then we. Go ahead. Yeah. Go.
The first question revolves around sound collectives. If they could think of an idea that I personally طلعت مني كتاب كتير زي الفترة. If sound collectives think that there could be some sort of academy مثل ما كان في الكونسرفاتوار for people who would like to sing or perform music or play any sort of musical instrument, there could be a small صوت مسموع. لا حعيد. Anyways, كنت عم بقول the first question is, as I was saying, there are some sort of constitutions like conservatoire for people who would like to sing أو يتعلموا الطرب. They would like to sing some sort of any type of Arabic songs or play some musical instruments. There could be I would say, I don't know, maybe like an academy or like a place where people could go and actually discover how to perform and discover sound art further. Because I mean, I haven't I haven't knew of wow, the grammar. I didn't know or ما في like a reference that we can go to if you want to like discover the sound art in the discipline of machineries or يعني في مثلا Beirut Center but they do workshops. They don't they don't have like a place, you know, like there's not like a okay, this place you can go there, you could like register like you're a student, you could learn this discipline, you can learn this form of art. I would say no matter what it is, if you want to be a DJ or if you want to be a singer or if you want to be a composer, if you want to be a producer, like this is my question: do you think that it is far-fetched for collectives to actually do this sort of idea? And my second question is about the harassment thing. Like when I think it's not a question; it's more of a comment. When things happen in no matter what the space is, and I think after what we've seen from things that happened before, I think it's also people's responsibility to act أكتر مما إنه they ignore. لأنه they leave it إنه okay, the people who are responsible of the space are gonna do something. We're not gonna tell. I think it's very visible. So I think it's also people's responsibility to act upon what's happening. Either to be it to stop what's happening or to go and tell on it. لأنه the psychology that happens or what in people's mind, no, okay, somebody was gonna go tell about it, and it's not gonna be me, and everyone's gonna be saying that, and eventually the thing's gonna happen, and no one have said anything about it. So I think people should have the courage more to speak, more than to wait upon safety to, I don't know, take its place or happen. So yeah, basically
I'm gonna answer a few. I know I'm not a panelist. I'm sorry. For the first question regarding those collective doing like those, actually there's a lot of schools in Lebanon regarding different kind of music, different kinds of, for example, since even though the Stint Center does not have like classes, but if you go there and you book a session to be there, there's always somebody with you who would explain anything that you need there. So this is, and the nice thing is also it's free of charge. So you can go that, and we all know the people in charge. They're really knowledgeable, and they will be really helpful from 0 to 100, whatever your level is. And there's also other places. Just to name a few, like there's like several DJ schools in Lebanon. They're paid, but they exist. There's also like music schools other than the conservatoire. I'm talking about like more alternative music schools. Some people like Bach more into rock and classic rock. Some people more into like flamenco or bossa nova. More some university schools also are more into classical oriental music. So there is an alternative. It's not all the time. One, it's not visible. You need to look for them because nothing is visible. Nothing alternative is visible in Lebanon. So you need to search and look, and you'll find something all the time. Two, not everything is free. That's the problem, which is normal because they're not backed up by any kind of state. So of course they need to have some kind of revenue all at the same time. And regarding your comment, you're absolutely right about you see something, say something. That's what it is. But say to whom? This is the question was. You can stop at the moment, but what happens after that moment? That's what my question was. What happens after that? Because some damage has been done. You do more damage, or you try to fix that damage, and it's not an easy thing to like say, you know. So I'm sorry. وش بتكون تقولوا انتوا؟
I
think most of us here knows what happened last year in one of the major music institutions in terms of harassment, and it was something in the arts and culture field. So my question is, how much can we trust institutions in terms of safety? So like, sorry, Sandy mentioned some smart ways. مثل عقوبات فينا نحطهم على الشخص اللي هو بيكون عم بيقوم بعملية التحرش. بس إنه أنا كinstitution, whether it's at Beirut Art Center, at Ballroom, or any music institution, I would say, like, do you ban this person from this club or from this music institution just because they harassed someone once and then they had this whole issue? So, and like, how do you do it? Because we all know that the state won't interfere in this. So, like, how safe can this person be in this institution? وأنا كيف بعرف أنا إنه أنا إذا قام بعملية تحرش ببعض الأشخاص أو بشخص أنا شو هن السيفتي تبعي؟ يعني شو ولا مرة قرينا شيء أو شفنا شيء دوكيمنت بيبين إنه أنت in case you were harassed رح يصير معك هيك وهيك وهيك ورح يطلع لك حقك. So this is just my question.
إنه exactly هو هيدا الشغل اللي لازم يصير هلا اللي هو إنه عادة يعني أنا اللي بعرفه إنه حسب مثلاً بمترو إذا تنقول بمترو المدينة وقتها كان يصير إنه كان في كتير تحرش ويصير في كتير تحرش فكان إنه في حدا إنه بنجم نقول إنه هيدا عم يتحرش وعم يتزانخ وشكله مش صح فبيجوا بيزعبوا من المترو. وكذا محل أنا بعتقد إنه لا إنه نحنا شوي مش عم نقول عم نبالغ بس نحنا عم نوصل بمحلات بلبنان وين إنه فعليا إذا هلأ بيصير في تحرش قدامك أنا منه وعلي حأتحرك وكتير ناس منا رح يتحركوا رح يوقفوا التحرش. هيدا بس جواب على إنه لا العالم عم تعمل رياكشن بس نحنا بدنا نكون أسرع وبدنا يكون في شيء رسم شوي أكتر يعني بده يكون إنه مش شيء فردي منك أنت تتصرف على راحتك لو ما بنعرف كيف رح يتصرف كل واحد فينا. فهو الشغل الأساس اللي كنت أنا عم أقوله عم بطرحه إنه يكون في شيء رسمي طالع من جمعية يتوزع على الكلابات ويتوزع على الفانيوز كلها ينحط وراء بقلب الحمامات وبقلب وقدام على الانترنس تبع كل فانيو انه اذا صار في تحرش كذا مثلا بينحط انه بينحكى مع هيدا الرقم واذا يعني صار اذا انت شفت قدامك بقلب سهرة بيصير في كذا انه بيصير في تحقيق بهيدا المحل بس من جهة رسمية من جهة بيوثقوا فيها العالم نحن بنوثق فيها مش أنا إنه بدي أجي أنا أفتح تحقيق لوحدي بدي أنا جمعية بعرف إنه مثلا مثل الهيفن تنقول بعرف إنه هن بيهتموا بموضوع التحرش وأنا بوثق فيهم عرفت فإنه بدي أنا من هول الجمعيات إنه أنا بوثق بهول فخليهم هن يطلعوا بهيدا الشيء لأنه ما فينا نحن بأي صفة أنا بدي أطلع حتى قوانين للفانيوز بأي صفة بأنه عرفت أنه في عالم يمكن توثق فينا وفي عالم ما بتوثق فينا فأنه بدنا شيء موثوق يعني بدنا شيء شوي رسمي وهيك بيصير أسهل الموضوع وبيصير خفف زيادة التحرش لأنه أوكي في مراقبة في شيء عم بيصير في إنه عم يتابع هذا الموضوع مش عم يوقف بمحل إنه أنا رح أتصرف فإنه بعتقد هيك شيء.
Thank you all for being here and joining us. You're all incredible in your own right. You know how much I respect your art and everything that you do. And thank you for the conversation, for opening this up. I know that all of us in the cultural scene are trying to find our gripping with how to go about it. And I think there are a lot of, like we're saying, مبادرات من people like us who are both artists and individuals and part of institutions and NGOs. وكلنا عم نحكي هذا الحديث ما كان ينفتح من 10 سنين وكلياتنا بالكولتشر سين بنعرف من 10 سنين لحديت هلا قد ايه عم نحاول نغير وأكيد this is not a short-term process. It has to be a very long-term thing. It has to be a goal, يعني a set thing that we're not just all talking about, that we're all aiming to achieve and hopefully create these preventative measures by collaborating كلياتنا. And I think that there is a possibility for all of us to come together مثلا بauditorium هيك ونحكي عن هالموضوع extensively of what each of us as individuals and then as artists and then as institutions, and we can create a roadmap. With that said, speaking as sound artists and people working within the cultural scene in Lebanon and Algeria, talking in particular about colonialism in our two respective countries. يعني نحن ما عم نحكي about countries that are just, you know, in Europe living la di da in Berlin وبلعب بكلب وبفل على البيت ورواق. نحن عم نحكي ب a space that we're still even trying to reclaim not just our traditional sound, which عم نهدي فيه لأنه somewhat خايفين يمحى because of colonialism, وبنفس الوقت عم نحاول نتقدم لقدام لنخترع our own identity. Do you feel like that في هيدا الصراع بيصير معكم أو ما تكونوا عم تشتغلوا على شيء إنه تضلكم متواصلين مع your tradition and to build on that, especially إنه مثلا Sandy, you can also touch up on this when talking about your new album. Nour, you do a lot of field recordings بتستعملي حكي conversations and stuff like that. Renata, you've been doing live shows both internationally and locally. What is that bridge as sound and music in a way of preserving tradition but at the same time kind of confronting that post-colonial world that we live in where the Western music is the best music and we're all just trying to catch up, you know?
Yeah, I think it's, like, for me, it's more about using, let's say, segments from interviews where I find that the person is saying something that you don't hear, that's not spoken, whether it's about harassment or whether it's about the financial situation, but not heard on the news, you know, and then using that and using like field recordings from the city to create beats, that using sounds that are not commonly heard outside of Beirut, to share these stories, specifically if I know that, let's say, this can't be said on the news or will not be heard on the news. So then to use it in an approach with this, you know, sound art or music making where it's not very obvious, but still using it. Especially when I'm also performing outside of Lebanon, including it even when I know I can't, and I'm like a bit terrified, but doing it at the same time, and it feels good inside, you know. And maybe even reversing it, but having it in there in the storytelling amidst many things, but still having it in there and knowing that somehow the message is being sent. And it's not just about my voice, but it's about using other people's stories. So in that way, that's how I feel like we can preserve.
Cool. Just like a big, I'm gonna just like continue on the question and ask also what is like the inner dilemma that you face when working like that. Meaning, if you're like, you know, we're all working into like creating art and trying to use this word anti-colonialism and all those stuff that we always say. But when does it becomes too much where and you're not true to yourself, to what you are, and you're just doing that to get approval from the Western world? So technically you go back into a certain circular thing and you're technically doing the same thing but in a different way. So do you keep this in mind while or you just what are your thoughts on that?
أنا بحس إنه إذا نحن حرين كيف عم نعمل موسيقى، شو ما كنا عم نستعمل، وإذا كنا كتير مغربين أو كتير مشرقين، أنت مهم إنه ما تقعد تفكر بالغرب. أنا هيك برأيي، أو ما نقعد نفكر إنه إنه جدي حيحب هالموسيقى أو أنكل سام حيحب هالموسيقى. إنه لا، عن جد إنه أنا عندي فكرة وحاسة إنه أنا بدي أعملها. يمكن تطلع إنه يمكن أطلع كتير أمريكانية بهالفكرة، بس أنا عايشة هون وكتير عبالي أعملها لهي الفكرة، فرح أعملها. إذا أنا فنانة، إذا أي فنان عنده أفكار، مع إنه كتير بلاقي إنه كتير بلاقي صعب إنه يجي يحط حواجز لحاله بشو يستعمل آلات، بشو كيف بده يستعمل صوته، كيف رح يغني، كيف رح البيت تبعه، كيف كذا، كيف إنه لا كلهم هول حدود ما لازم يكون موجودة بالفن يعني.
مظبوط انا معك، بس المشكله وين بيوصل على تاني مشكله هي انه most of the since again there's no like funding from the state and it's hard to get money etc, so we rely a lot on funds, and funds are mostly Western funds, and Western funds have their own notion of what it means to be Lebanese, for example, or Oriental or Arabic, and so technically we fall into their own eyes. We change for them to be able to do something for us, and it becomes, you see a lot of people just like changing their artistry just to get funds to be able to live to do their artistry, and this is another like vicious circle we go in.
I mean, this is something I've been thinking about a lot recently, actually, and what I'm learning is that if there could be a solution to that, it's to play with language more. To understand that maybe when you're writing the fund, it's not necessarily exactly what you're going to do, but to try to be creative and give them what they want to hear, but then later do what you want and be honest with yourself. But really specifically for the Western funds and the current situation, you know, because it's, because I feel like if I'm going to be completely honest, that when I'm applying something Western, I'm not going to get the fund. You know, but we want to get the fund to do something. Yeah. But that's also part of, in a way, being creative and fighting that, and then later doing what you think makes sense to do, and not just suit their agenda. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I wanted to say that Awashi, I agree with what Sandy said about like your approach to artistry. It should not have. I don't think like this. Like, what is the crowd going to like? I do DJ, so I do. Switch a lot of like depending on the setting, but not depending on what they're going to like or not. I wanted to say that actually my biggest inspirations are from here. So actually it's not like I don't like, if I want to think of like, you know, something like that I look up to or something, I don't think about the West, to be honest, because like it's not where I am inspired more than what I find here. So I would say like, no, I don't think that, the West does it better or whatever. Like they're more advanced and like, for example, building machines and stuff. Like this is what we use and whatever. And also regarding the funding situation, like as Frequent Defect, we're not funded mainly for that reason, and we do not want to change the approach to how we do things, and we do not want to compromise over any kind of thought process that we have. This is a big challenge for us, and it's been since a very big challenge. We're able to manage at some point, you know, especially like on a personal level as artists. Yes, we do get gigs that, or like for example, get commissioned works, you know, that we do on a personal level, but also as a collective as well. So this is where like we decided, you know, to have to preserve at least how we think, which made it more also impactful later. Honestly, like, you know, it's just like having a vision for the long run instead of like the short run, and like dealing with challenges also, which we're not, we're used to kind of.
Sorry to
Yeah.
But there's a gray Suzuki that's parked outside. So if you can remove this car, it's like a gray brownish Suzuki.
Where? Make it mine.
Ray Suzuki.
Is it yours?
Where we're in the parking?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. The guy told me. Thank you. He was like, no, you can keep it here. I was like, all right. أفكر مين عنده سوزوكي. Yes, go ahead.
سؤالي لرضا. معلي احكي بالعربي. كتير حلو الشغل، يعني بتشكر هيدا الشيء البانل كله انه هيك منيح. بتشكر هيدا البانل انه قدرت اتعرف على الشغل اللي بتعملوه كالمتنقل، وقدرت شوف الشغل على انستغرام ويوتيوب، بس حكيت بمحل على أرشفة صوت أصوات قديمة من التاريخ. هيدا الشيء كان لبروديوسرز أو هيدا فيه يكون للعالم تقدر تسمعه؟ يعني is it open for public؟ وإذا إيه وين موجود؟
يمكن يعني نرد عليك بفرنسية. يا اوكي شكرا. Pour ta question, en fait, c'est notre projet de base de travailler aussi sur l'archivage. Je l'avais mentionné tout à l'heure, c'est que, au fait, au fur et à mesure, c'est devenu une réponse comment aider les futures générations par rapport à cette matière-là. Mais aussi, oui, ça va être disponible avec le temps, parce que là, on est en pleine structuration. Ça fait quand même 5 ans ou 6 ans qu'on existe réellement. On a lancé notre site internet l'année passée et du coup on est en train de le développer et ça va être le moyen direct de trouver ces sonorités. C'est-à-dire à un certain moment on va mettre réellement open source toutes ces musiques, toutes ces sonorités-là. C'est vrai qu'on essaie d'inspirer beaucoup de producteurs de musique électronique pour véhiculer cette musique à travers le monde plus qu'autre chose, mais principalement c'est aussi pour faire découvrir au grand public cette musique ancestrale. Et merci pour ta question.
Do we have other questions from the crowd? Yes. Okay, عظيم.
Again كنتوا عم تحكوا عن الفندنج، مين بحط الرولز أصلاً؟ يعني ليش نحن ما بنحط الرولز؟ مثلا كنت عم تحكي ساندي وبتصور ساندي وريدا عندكم شيء بيشبه بعض اللي هو المتنقل، وانت كنت عم تأرجفي قصص على الطريق اللي هي جزء من الذاكرة خاصة ما بعد الثورة. شو اللي بيمنع أصلا نحن نحط قوانيننا؟ هيدا هو اللي عنا، هيدي هي الماتيريال تبعنا. يعني مزبوط نحن عم نلحق الغرب ونرجع نعمل التويست تبعنا 100%. سوري عم اوكي. مثلا ساندي كان بدي اسالك سؤال وقت قلتي انا عم انتوا هلا you guys are making history، عم بتأرشفوا، يعني مش مسحه الخبريه، هل قد انتم مهمين. ساندي كنت عم تأرشفي على الطريق، بتعرفي شو اول شيء افتكرت فيه؟ اللكنات، الاكسنت الطرابلسيه والبيروتيه اللي انمحت. هلا نحن ما بقى حدا لهجته بيروتي، الاشباك وهو يعني هول الميوزك. هلا انتم كنتوا عم تصنعوا ميوزك من فرنساوي لعربي لانجليزي. كنت سؤالي هو انه مين بحط القوانين؟ ليش نحن ما بنبلش من عنا؟ بعرف نو بريشر على الارتست، ما بعرف مين بده يجاوبني. بعرف
لانه ما معنا مصاري، ما هي لانه لا عن جد انه بكل بساطه لانه ما معنا مصاري بتصير انه اوكي بدنا مصاري، فانه اوكي هو بده هيك، اوكي طيب انا رح اعطيك هيك. لا بس هو مثل ما قالت نور بالضبط، انه بالاخر انت يعني هو فعليا هيدا السايكل تبع انه بدي اعمل موسيقى، فلازم اكتب اتفلسف لاكتب موسيقى، لانه اللي بدي اخذ مصاري، لانه بدي اعيش لاضلني عم بقدر اعمل موسيقى، ويلا بتبرم البرمه. فهو بالاخر انه يا بدك انه هيك السيستم، ما في انه ما في والله يابا دولة انه بتقولي في وزارة رح تدعمني بهيدا المحل، او انه عرفتي انه في هيدا الشيء، وما في هالقد شغل بهاي المجال. فبالاخر انه فتنا بهيدا الدوامة خبرية الفاندز وكذا. فمثل ما قالت نور انه يا بتتذاكى عليهم، يعني ما عنا طريقه تانية، يا بتتذاكى عليهم
سو النيت تبعك هو يعني النيت تبعكم بالمبدا هو المصاري، يعني نحن بنرجع للمصاري.
ايه لانه
اوكي،
لانه بالاخر انه
need هو انه للمعيشه plus للايكويبمنت which is انه for the sound the equipment is pretty expensive. So either like انه اصلا غير انه كثير صعب نجيب الايكويبمنت لانه still it's pretty hard everything. So technically our art is very linked to having material and living. and the output, the monetary output from a place مثل لبنان or something is very low. You know, it's all like okay, let's say عملت album إنه مين إنه
ما حدا
إنه قول إن شاء الله 5000 which is impossible يشتروا ما حياة.
اوكي.
still يعني 5000 إنه بتعمل لك شهر. على سنة يعني هذه سنة إنه إذا which never happens usually sell 100 copies يعني maximum بيوصل على إنه عندكم $500 يعني هي بس لو دفعت عليه بيكون شيء $5000 يعني إنه تينعمل. So no, they're not equal, the in and the out. That's the problem because we don't have an infrastructure for that to help. There are a lot of people helping and a collective helping. Everybody's helping. This is what we're doing as collectives. All of us have different collectives, and everybody's helping in their own way. They get different kind of commercial jobs where they
exactly. You have your own spaces. بالمبدأ.
Yeah, they all have. We all have like a side thing. An artist has a lot of time another job or like our space. أنا عم بحكي عن TuneFork, my space, which is technically. We have two sides of the place, which is one side is we do like commercial work, like meaning music for ads and etc. And then the second side is just like opening this recording space for artists, and it's like we do it. It's been a while. It's just you pay what you want from zero to whatever you want, and we record albums and we record everything. So in order to be able to help these people to be able to do their albums, we have to work triple in something else, and it's all like that. There's no other way than you do what you can to sustain and you pass it on. Where you can, you pass it on. It's really a very very earthy, very very person to person kind of relation, and yeah, there's before in 2019 and there's after 2019. That's true, and not only in the sound of what's happening in. Sonically, I mean, but also in the way we interact with each other, and this is and if you know those institutions, they got together much more after that. We collaborate more. There's never like a no happening. We'll make it work somehow. Everybody makes it work somehow, and we got faced with this. This is why I went. Finally, I went to this subject of harassment and everything, because it's something that, again, it's something that we have to do together to be able to get over this. How do you say what happens in the future and what's this is really hard. I don't know, because we think like Rida. We like we paved the bridge for the future, and we try to do our best. And knowing that life is not all about us and our generation is the one after us and after us and after us. So you should be. We're so behind in a lot of stuff that we should be okay to just be content with what we can do at the maximum and just pass it on.
Beautifully, thank you so, Anjad. Thank you so much. Please keep doing what you're doing. You're making history.
حدا عنده سؤال بعد؟ ايه اكيد.
شوي سؤالي سريالي يعني بهذا الحديث، بس عم فكر انه حكيتوا عن الثورة وعن التغيير وهيك، ما بعرف اذا حكينا عن التغيير، بس شو دور نقابة الفنانين؟ هو ما في، بس كنا
بنفس الوقت فيها تفتحنا بس تعملنا زيرو تلوين، زيرو مساعدة. the problem إنه سان هيفن أخذته 7 سنين ليتسجل، لأنه نقابة الفنانين ما كانت فهمانة شو هيفن. شو يعني تجوا تجتمعوا وتحكوا؟
بس ما هو الحديث هو من زمان كنا نقول شو يعني نقابة المهندسين، وبعدين شفنا إنه صار في تغيير مع النقابة تنتفض مثلاً. ما بعرف عن جد يعني بركي عم بحلم
مزبوط، بس
بركي فنانين مثلكم انه
بس انه في شغله مهمه. عم نحكي عن فنانين مثلنا، هو عم نحكي بعد فنانين من هالكاليبر، عم نحكي انه عم نحكي كتير بعده alternative وكتير below the radar. هو لازم نحن نوصل على الفنانين الأكبر هن لازم يبلشوا يعملوا البريشر، لأنه مثل كل شيء كل مرة الفنان الأكبر هو اللي في يعمل بريشر أكتر منه. إذا نحن كلنا بنقول إنه ما حنتسجل بالنقابة، ما حنتسجل أصلا، ما غير شيء. ما فينا اكثر من هيك شو بدنا نعمل. بس اذا let's say انه كل هدول البوب ستارز تبعولنا وكل شيء بيقرروا كمان يعملوا هذا الشيء اتسترا اتسترا، هون ببلش يصير في تغيير. هو لازم انه لازم يكون في some kind of connection بين نحن وال this other side of yeah. It's very far-fetched. It's no, it is far-fetched, but the
think about it, if you got the exposure, it might be for the wrong people.
Yeah.
Not a lot of the Middle East could understand what Sandy does, mind you, it's amazing. What Renata plays, they like Asala.
ايه بس ليه لا انه ليه ما منخلي أصالة تتعرف على تكنو ميوزك مثلا؟
طيب
ليه لا انه عم بيعمل هيدا الشيء متنقل؟
I'm gonna stop the convo. I'm wrapping it up. Thank you everybody.
Thank you
Haven for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you the panelists. Bye bye.